Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beer Brigade. I'm John Solo. You are not, and welcome to another edition of Morning Coffee. This time from the booth. And I'm not sure why I'm down here today. I bought a new keyboard. And it was to complete my setup down here. It's a long story, but I kind of rearranged things a little bit just on my desk. And so I was doing that this morning. I went to my breakfast meeting, my 12-step meeting, and I did that. And then I came home and I had this new keyboard sitting there for a couple days. I hadn't installed it yet because I took yesterday off. So I came in and put that in, and I was like, man, why don't I just... And then I started prepping the show from down here, and then, well, I'm doing it from down here. Hello, everyone. How are you? Looks like we've got Brooke, Cheryl, Cher, Alyssa Gramling, who's sneaking out. Shh, nobody'll tell. What else we got in here? Betty's here. Looks like Brooke hasn't hurt herself yet. We are all good. And sorry, I've got L3 in the booth, so he just dinged. But anyways, Kashana, good morning to you. I'm excited about this morning edition just because I want to talk about a couple things we did this week, and I'm going to get right into it here. First off, this little book right here. Hey, Ron, how are you? I guess I'm going to... Okay, hang on here. Somebody's fucking geeking out and going nuts and dinging me. Let's see here. There we go. Now it won't ding anymore. Sorry about it. It's my first show. You know what I mean? So I gotta talk about this book. But Brooke keeps punching herself in the boob. You're not safe. You're not safe. I bet you put you in a straitjacket and you'd hurt yourself. Anyways, we did 15 finished hours last week of audio. Now, that's not the first time I've done that sort of thing, but it is the first time in a little while, probably a couple months. And I'm very proud of it because we knocked out a lot of projects that had been kind of... One was actually like just a hair over the deadline. The rest were just kind of hanging out. And I'm super proud of it. Thank you, everyone. Most everyone that's in here hangs out in Discord all day with me. Thank you. I couldn't have done this without all your support. Of course, Tracy Johns, you're awesome. And everybody else, too, that kind of pitched in. I really, really appreciate it. This book, Hedonist, I'm going to talk about this a lot today because there's a couple different aspects of it that we need to approach. And this is going to be kind of the focus of today's show. But Hedonist King's Heat, I don't know when this is going to come out, and it's for a number of reasons that we'll talk about. But if you haven't checked this out, at least get the ebook. It's freaking incredible. Ro Horvat did a fantastic job. Now, on top of Hedonist, we also did Blink, which is Treasure Trail Book 2. This was a Tantor project, and I just barely missed my deadline on this. It's a long story, but I ended up turning it in a day late, which was unfortunate. It is what it is. But Morgan Bryce with Blink, she did a fantastic job on that. We also did Baby and the Billionaire, and I'm actually finishing that up today. We finished the recording, but the post work is being done this afternoon on it after our show here. So we knocked out 3 books last week, which is... It's a banner week. It was incredible, and thank you guys so much for doing that. Before I forget, we are not going to be recording this afternoon. There's a number of reasons for this. This week, last week I felt very stressed. There's a lot going on, and I want to make sure I've got all my eggs in a basket so I can do another 12 to 15 hours this coming week. And I've got to finish up post on Victoria Sue's book, and I've got a couple other things to do around the house here. I want to get those wrapped up today before we jump into it. So we're not going to be recording today, which was initially the plan. We're going to start tomorrow, and it's going to be a good thing all the way around. Trace, if you're in the crowd, I'm going to need to talk to you after the show. I've got a couple things that I need to hook up with you on this evening, hopefully. But past that, it was a fantastic week. We did really, really well. And even though it was a hell of a lot of work, I feel very satisfied. It was a satisfying week. So this is what I got to show you here. Now, I'm going to take this full screen for a second. For King's Heat, Hedonist, Book 1, we're using a new distributor. I'm going to bring this back here. We're using a new distributor for this. There's a number of reasons. Normally, I use a distributor called ACX. Anyone that's in here has heard of ACX. ACX is a division of Amazon, and ACX is how I got in the business in the first place. ACX's business model is to be an intermediary between freelancers, between freelance authors, and between freelance narrators, producers. It's a wonderful service. And what they do is an author goes on and puts on their book and says, hey, I have a book and I'd like to make it into an audiobook. And they put it up there. And in essence, producers, narrators can get on and audition for books that are up for audition. They connect. ACX takes care of those two talking with each other, takes care of the producer uploading the finished files, and they take the finished files and they upload it to Audible, Amazon, and whatever iTunes is now. I don't have an I whatever, so I don't really know what it is. I thought it changed names recently. Those are the three main distributors in the audiobook market. Approximately 85, this is a stat that I haven't updated in about a year, but approximately 85% to 90% of all sales in audiobooks come from Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. Those are the big three. So by using ACX, it facilitates being able to upload to those. They're a distributor. It's an awesome service. There's a couple inherent problems with it. One of which are scammers that have started uploading scam books. That's a whole big thing. Another one is that ACX only deals in certain markets. So let's say if you're in America, no problem. If you're in Canada, I believe it's no problem. England now is not a problem. There are a couple markets that they just don't deal with, which is weird because Audible is there, but again, ACX and Audible are two different things. Australia being one of them. Also, Sweden, apparently, which I believe is where Ro Horvat is from, somewhere up in there. So when Ro Horvat and I have worked in the past, what I've done is I've worked for a pay-per-finished hour rate. We don't go through ACX because he can't. I give him the files and he uploads them. And he's used a distributor called Authors Republic, which is awesome. Now, with Hedonist, we're doing something a little bit different. I encouraged Ro at one point, any author, to write me I wanted an all-sex book. I wanted, because sex sells. We all know this. And Ro stepped up to the plate 20-fold. It's freaking amazing. It's filthy. But it's very poetic, too. I don't know how they do it. But Ro stepped up to the plate, and I wanted to do this in a different fashion. Instead of working for an hourly rate like I normally do, which is really good money, I wanted to do this as a royalty share. So I don't get paid up front. Ro doesn't have to put out any money up front. Instead, I split the money of the sales and proceeds with Ro. Now, I've done a lot of books like this in the past in my career. We've talked about this before, but this is one of the first of a series of experiments this year with royalty share books that I'm doing. But we couldn't go through ACX because Ro can. So I had to seek out a new distributor. There were a couple things that I had in mind and Ro and I both had in mind when we were looking for this. One was the ability to do a royalty split. So in other words, once a month, that was another term, by the way, because some companies that do royalty splits only pay out quarterly. But once a month, they would calculate the number of sales that they had, and they would send us both money. And very much so, we needed direct deposit for this. The second consideration was there are more avenues to sell your audiobook than just Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. Admittedly, that's the vast majority of the sales, but we wanted the ability to distribute to the other services. I don't know the names of all these services. To be honest, I don't get the chance to listen to a lot of audiobooks, and when I do, they're just on Audible. There's a lot of services that service the library industry and that sort of thing. I wanted to be able to hit all those. This company allowed us to do a really cool deal where not only do they cover the royalty shares, not only do they pay out monthly, but they also enabled us to do a strict, just the three big ones for the first 6 months of the contract, and then we can split and go wide and distribute to everybody else, which is very, very cool. The other thing is, one of the owners, and I think it may be just the owner, I'm not really sure, of Audiobooks Unleashed is a fellow narrator, Sarah Sampino. She hangs out in Discord, and I really like that. I'm not dealing with a huge corporation. I'm dealing directly with somebody that I kind of is an acquaintance, I guess. It's incredibly cool. And here's a big thing. If I have a question, I can just message Sarah. It's freaking slick. I love it. Now, that being said, this is our first project with Audiobooks Unleashed. I don't know how the experience is going to be long term, but I'm really crossing my fingers and I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping, because this looks like the start of a really, really good relationship. Just the fact that somebody as well, I got nothing bad to say about Amazon. They've been incredibly good to me in my career. That being said, they're a very large company, and I wouldn't mind if somebody else is doing it on a smaller scale. I wouldn't mind helping them out. As long as they help me out in return, that's freaking wonderful. So I wanted to tell you all about that. It's something I'm very excited about, and it's something I'm hoping, if this works out, I'm hoping that perhaps some of my other clients will want to use the service in the future as well. It's an alternative. It's a good alternative. One of the disadvantages of this, though, is that um, John Solo, that's me, and my company, Falcon Sound Company, has enjoyed, I wouldn't call it preferential treatment or anything like that, but if y'all haven't noticed, normally when I do a book, if I go through ACX, it comes out pretty quick. That's a pretty nice bonus. It's a pretty nice feature. And I'm not going to get that preferential treatment through Audiobooks Unleashed. They are distributing to all the platforms, not ACX. So I have no idea when Hedonist is going to come out. The author approved the files, and we uploaded them last Wednesday evening. I'm hoping it's soon. I don't really know. If you could, I've asked Alyssa Gramling, my little stalker, to keep an eye out and let me know when it comes out. I want to see how long it takes. But if anybody else notices it as well, if you can message me and let me know, I'd really appreciate it. Now, I'm going to talk more about this in a minute. In my personal life going on this week, I showed you this image a couple weeks ago because I talked about the fact that I'd gained about 20 pounds. I'm very open about this because not only is it a huge thing in my life, but also maybe other people want to try this as well. I don't really know. I talked about it because it's a change that I wanted to make, and it's a change that I have been making. Jody and I both. Jody has also been attempting to lose a bit more weight, and we did a kind of a diet adjustment. Jody, as everybody knows very well, has multiple sclerosis. That's an autoimmune disorder. It's in that category of things. And we're trying a new approach to this. There's a couple different diets that have been around for autoimmune disorders for a number of years. I'm a firm believer that the biggest power that we have over our health is what we put in our body, our food. Not a lot of people, not a lot of doctors really will give you any sort of good advice on this. But there's a ton of information out there, and there's a ton of science out there on it. Two specifically for autoimmune disorders. One is called the SWANK protocol. It's very swanky. It's been around for, I think, 30 or 40 years now, and there's a lot of science on it. A newer one that kind of built upon the SWANK protocol is called the Walls protocol. That is a neurologist that also has multiple sclerosis that adapted the SWANK protocol specifically for MS. And it's a fantastic thing. So I'll tell you the limitations first. The limitations of what you can eat. Here it is. No grains. So that means no bread, no tortillas, no nothing. Just give them up. No rice, nothing like that at all. Just, it's out. Boom, done. Don't even think about it. No sugar, other than natural sugars that you can obtain from fruit. So basically, if it comes in a package, you're probably not going to be able to eat it. No dairy. This was a struggle for me, but they've suspected for a number of years with autoimmune disorders that some dairy can be inflammatory, and some of it as well. Eggs, which some people say aren't dairy, I understand that entirely, but we're cutting out eggs too, can have other effects. So no milk, no cheese, no eggs. I traditionally have eaten a lot of eggs, 3 to 6 a day normally, so this was kind of a problem for me, but I'm going to do this with her, so we cut those out too. Those are the main ones, other than no seed oils for cooking, vegetable oil, canola oil, any of that crap, which means there's really no going out. You can cook in coconut oil, which, by the way, is fantastic. It's really good. Avocado oil, which is incredibly good for high heat oil, and olive oil for your salads and that sort of thing. So those are the restrictions. Now, let me tell you what you can eat. And it's actually quite a bit. And what's required. 3 plates. That ends up being about 9 cups worth of food. 3 plates of green veggies a day. They split it up into 2 categories. You'd have to talk to Jody about the way they're split up. But basically, it's a shit ton of spinach, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, that sort of thing. Which, luckily enough, I like all those things, so it's not an issue. But 3 plates of it is a hell of a lot of fucking food. It's a lot. It's kind of a challenge to eat that many greens in a day. Also, fresh fruit. You can have all the fresh fruit you want. So apples, blueberries, avocados. I'm really liking those a lot. Bananas. Technically, they say bananas really aren't on the list one way or the other, but they're certainly not a cheat item. So that. And then for protein, any sort of fresh meat that you can buy. Pineapple. Yes, Trace, we can have a lot of pineapple. Any sort of fresh meat you can buy, including poultry too. The red meat, obviously. And my wife has actually started to eat red meat again. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. But I was blown away that she would make this change. It's amazing to me. So red meat is obviously very good. They want you to get in between 8 to, depending on where you are, your size, 8 to 16 ounces of protein a day through an animal source. So red meat or poultry, chicken, turkey, that sort of thing, or fish, and they highly encourage fish. So salmon, whitefish, anything like that, delicious. So what it ends up looking like is once a day you have a smoothie with kale and spinach in there, and you put some blueberries in and maybe a little bit of banana to taste, and a little bit of honey, which is a natural sugar. And you can still have, and I didn't know that almonds had breasts, but you can have almond milk. And not a lot of it, but enough to flavor something. So you put the almond milk in there and you have a big smoothie. And that knocks out in between 1 to 1.5 cups, maybe 2 cups of your serving there of your veggies. And it's a heck of a way to wake up. After that, we're also doing intermittent fasting, so we're staying within a 6 to 8 hour window, somewhere in there. So after that, you basically have 1 to 2 more meals, depending on what you want. Oh, mushrooms are good too, so you can have all the fresh mushrooms you want. So it'll be basically a serving of protein, some sort of meat, and then a serving of greens. And I like to fry my greens up, but however you want to do it's just fine. You're not hungry at all. It's delicious. The only real change in this for me, from how I was eating, aside from the occasional cookie, which I'm not having now, it's been about 10 days, is the dairy. Yeah, Cher, I don't disagree with you that I think the almond milk is not the best thing ever. And looking at the ingredients, there's way more than one ingredient in there, and I don't disagree with you. I'm not sure that is the best thing for you. Oatmeal is actually, technically, oats are in the grain family, so we are staying away from those entirely. But the almond milk, the nut butter, supposedly is decent, but you just have to get it from a good source. So like if you go in the store and you buy almond butter, for instance, you really have to look. Like if there's more than almonds and salt, don't buy it. And as far as what we are doing, I'm not telling other people what to do. Now, that being said, between that, over the course of the last 10 days or so, and we've been hitting the gym, our trainer still has not hooked up with us. I'm not sure about this kid yet. His name is Khalik, and he's super nice. But he's canceled 2 of our 3 appointments so far. I'm not sure if that's going to work out or not. We may have to get another one. But we've still been going to the gym, and I've been jogging. Jody's been walking on the treadmill. I've been doing yoga every day, or most every day. But I've been jogging at least 7.5 miles a week, and it has been up to about 10. So, all that being said, I am down, depending on how you kind of fluctuate a couple pounds a day here and there. I'm going to say a solid 7 pounds, and I think it's probably closer to 10. But I'm gonna underestimate there. 7 pounds so far, which is freaking solid. That's good. I need to lose in between 20 and 25, so I've got a really good start to it. On top of that, I have a lot of energy, which is fantastic, and I feel better. Now, I've suspected for a while that my cystic acne that I've had going on for a long time has had something to do with my body's particular allergic reaction to something. I narrowed it down because for a while even I did carnivore. I've narrowed it down, I think, to potentially eggs, milk, or coffee. And I don't know if I can live without coffee, man. I'm not sure if life's worth living without coffee, but I'm still drinking coffee because we can still have black coffee, which is wonderful. And it's gotten tremendously better over the course of the last 10 days, too. Now, jury's still out on that. We're going to give it 30 days, and we're going to see exactly where it goes. But so far, I'm very impressed with it. It's not a diet. It's not like I'm calorie counting or anything like that at all. It's just a lifestyle change, and we're very used to the lifestyle change. Yeah, Charlotte, I might be allergic to the Jaffa cakes. I certainly think I haven't had any chocolate in like, I don't know, 10 days, somewhere in there. I have had peanut butter, but not very much, and it's the natural peanut butter, so it's just peanut butters or peanuts and salt. Peanut butters. Wow. Yeah, I know that eggs totally aren't dairy, but the C word is in it, not the calcium, but I'm gonna have to look that up again because I have a great article on it. Some people have an intolerance to eggs, and I've eaten a lot of eggs. I think they're an extremely healthy food. In fact, I think they're the perfect food. They have everything in there. You could live off of eggs. But it could be that my body is reacting a bit differently. So stop yelling, Trace. Jesus Christ, calm down. Yeah, I'm gonna miss the Reese's. But bottom line is, I'm not hungry, and it's working. We are certainly both of us losing weight. It's Jody's story to tell with what she's lost, but she has certainly lost. And the energy level, I feel great, which is good. So onward here, we've got. This week is the week of Hedonist and Ro Horvat. Ro is coming on the show tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be kind of a weird day for a number of reasons. One, it's Monday, and Mondays are always fucked. But two, because Ro is overseas and Ro also has a day job, he wanted to do an earlier time. So we're going to be doing a Talk to the Beard at 3 instead of 5. Now, that's obviously going to kill some of the crowd, and that's perfectly fine. This is one of the reasons why we leave them in Facebook, and also why we port it over to YouTube afterwards as well. So if you can't make it, it is what it is. It's all good. Just, watch it later. Watch it on Facebook or watch it on YouTube, your choice. But I'm incredibly excited to talk to him about this because he knocked it out of the park. If we're going to do like an all-sex book, let's just do an all-sex book. I've said that for years. But Ro has a certain style and a certain way of doing this that I was blown away with. And I have been from the beginning. I've loved, he's one of my favorite clients. I absolutely love working for him whenever I can. I really want to delve into that and see his take on what his process is to do this. But I'm sure we'll end up talking about other shit too. I'm going to try my best not to talk about the war. Ro's fairly close over there to it, and I don't want to get into that shit. That's not what we do here. Let's forget about that stuff for a while and talk about other things. So that's what we got going on. Coming up, first off, this week, I couldn't get all of them in here, so that's why I talked about them in the beginning. The last one we just did was Baby and the Billionaire. I'm finishing up post on that today, which means it'll probably be out early next week. I'd say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere in that range. We're going to get that out. Speaking of which, too, the Rambling Gremlin episode from last week, it's up on YouTube. We covered 2 weeks worth of books, and there was a shit ton of stuff in there. So if you haven't taken advantage of that Audible sale yet, that would be the time to do it. Yeah, Charlotte, I suspect that that is one why Ro wanted to do it earlier, because Ro also lives in that neck of the woods. And two, I suspect that our European crowd is going to be a little bit bigger this time around just because of the time frame of it. So take advantage of it while you can. I'm sorry, not European specifically, anybody over on that continent and not on my continent. So anyways, we just finished up Baby and the Billionaire. I'm finishing the post today on it. We're going to be working on Sanctuary. This is Wrecked Book 1 by a new client to me, but not new to everyone at all. The lesbian from Texas, Kelly Fox. And I love Kelly to death, and I'm really looking forward to working on one of her projects. This is one of those people that she's one of my favorite people, but I didn't think that we would ever end up working together. We're kind of too much alike in a number of ways. But I think this is a great match for us. The story itself, I think, is a great match for me. And I think we're going to do a great job. That's what we're going to be starting tomorrow. The sessions are going to be split tomorrow. It's going to be a session before Talk to the Beard and then a session after the Talk to the Beard. Potentially 2 sessions after Talk to the Beard. It just depends on how much we get done. But that's where we're at with that. Finally, we have coming up next after this one. We got a lot going on this week. Got Me Looking from Casey Cox. This is another Tantor project. This is book 3 of the Vet Shop Boys series. We've been knocking this out. I think that Vet Shop Boys 1 is coming out on March 15th, 16, somewhere in that range. So you can see they should be knocking them out one after the other, because we've got the first 3 stacked up. We'll have the first 3 done before the first one releases. I have story times for books 1 and book 2 that I've kind of sandbagged, that are ready to upload to YouTube. I'm going to be uploading book 1 at least later this week. That way we can kind of line that up. So story time hits maybe a week or so before the actual release of the book. I've got a couple of those sitting back as well, sandbagged of stuff. Jane, I don't think that these are going to be boxed, at least not right away. I don't know what Tantor's policy is on these. I do know that Tantor has boxed sets in the past, but I wouldn't look for that happening anytime soon. So this is not going to be a wait for them to be put together thing. I wouldn't. It'll be years before they ever get done, if they ever get done. Good question though. In the wings, we have a lot of shit going on here. Night of the Blood Red Moon from Patricia Logan, little Patty Logan. We've got that coming up, I would imagine, by this weekend. We've got Jilted from Nora Phoenix coming up as well. I wanted to be at that by this weekend, but we just got a lot going on and I can't. So it is what it is. I don't know when that ebook is releasing. I think it might have just released. So we're going to be probably 10 days behind the ebook release. It is what it is there. And finally, Boy Issues Commanding Care, Book 1 by Morticia Knight. She's been so patient with me. I just got behind on my schedule, and I really appreciate that from her. She's also a new client for us, and I'm super excited about it. Anyways, that's what we got going on. So today, after this, I'm going to hop over and talk to Tracy for a few minutes, and then I'm going to finish up poster work on Victoria Sue's book. I'm going to take care of a couple personal things around the house and just kind of get everything together so we can have a good, solid, even keel week next week. That's the goal. Even keel, not too high, not too low. So I love you, Fox. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Enjoy your day. I'm sure I'll talk to some of y'all on Discord, but have fun. Love you. I will see you tomorrow.